G'day guys, welcome to a bit of a preview for Golden Slipper Day. Tough day, not everything kind of lines up, but I'll charge through what I can. There's a few races that look decent, sort of betting programs. It's going to be a bit of a case of seeing how bad the track really is and adjusting from there. A few races where there's not a lot of things line up, so we'll go through them anyway and try and identify a few horses. Maybe patterns will come in that suit, and we might be able to work on it a bit more from a live perspective. The first race of the day, the 1.5 mile race, and it's a race where not too much lines up. You've got Allergic coming out of the races up in Sydney, four runs back in, and does look to have a decent enough grounding for this. Now steps up the extra 400. Does handle soft going, and it was a solid enough effort last start, albeit with a few things in its favour. So it wasn't a horse I was really looking to find at its next start, but as it turns out, it's not too badly set up here on the 7-day backup. Kinema over-raced a little bit last start in a really slow run, 2,000 metres. Probably the step up 400 metres off that is not ideal usually, but it is a type that gets out in ground, rhyme more rides, and probably one you want to be a little bit forgiving of. Big Duke comes up from a Mowbray win in Tasmania, a Group 3 over the 1.5 mile, and it's hard to line him up. You've got to think that form is far removed from anything the others have done here, and he's a Caulfield winner and a Mooney Valley winner, so he's not exactly doesn't struggle, but this is definitely a step up for him. Our Century coming off a Wangaratta Cup win from back in the field. Another horse that steps up to 2,400 for the first time this prep. Is a winner over 2,400 at Caulfield, as you can see, but hasn't seen to wetter ground out here. Has obviously seen it back home, and didn't really handle it. So it's a query, that's for sure. Cafe Society ran first up 2,000 on that bottomless heavy 10, and now goes straight to the 2,400 on a soft track. Obviously handles the soft going, and it's hard to say how that horse is going to sort of bounce off that tough run first up. So the answer's a pineapple for me here with the betting. 480 Allergic, 550 with centre bet is probably the way I'd go if I was having a small play. Probably looks the one that's most likely to run well, but wouldn't be surprised if anything basically won the race. There is decent tempo. So, if Cafe Society was up there at, $12 and Allergic at $5.50, they're probably the two I could play at the value, but I'm not too interested to get too involved. And as I said, I'm not too surprised by any real result here. So, not spending too much time on that race overall. Second race is an interesting race. I'm probably the horse to beat for mine. Is the horse here in Hieroglyphics. It's come back in really good form. If it was 1,100 metres, I'd be really keen on its chances. So first up, it had the good run behind them, not really worth watching. Second up, it was ridden perfectly, but came from well back in the field, so against its pattern a little bit, and still was able to win and win comfortably.
Queen of Kariba coming up.
Serene Majesty, a victim of circumstance at her latest run. And see her drawing inside when this is the day that it was the outside fence on the heavy track. So Marrera's sort of forced to keep her in this worse ground, and he's forced to use her up nice and early here in order to cross this horse, Rocket Commander, who's had a softer run outside of in the better going, got there easier, but they did push the button early on a horse that's probably 1,200 sees her out maybe, and then she's just gassed late, getting out to that better part. And Rocket Commander, who's got form over a little bit further, she's just able to out tougher late, even though she's not exactly stopping. She definitely had enough on the line, but she's still trying her heart out. So Hieroglyphics interests me here. She looks to get a solid enough run on the pace, that's for sure. There's not a huge amount of tempo. Maybe Zara Bay was ridden forward last start, and I'd say Raymond or someone from out here is likely to go forward a bit. Tempt Me Not first up will probably be fresh enough to race up on the pace, and if we'll go and have a look at Tempt Me Not.
Trial over 740,
which is interesting coming into this race. 1,200 metres out, her limiters are all.
Daisy Doom left fast out wide. Tycoon Tara left well, and Tempt Me Not's going through on the rail. So
she's led some fast horses here.
Is at the tail end of the field. Corner 450 left the run. Tempt Me Not has got away here, leads by 2 lengths to Daisy Doom. Third the inside as Tycoon
Daisy
Tara.
had a run before
Ravi
this, so had a bit of fitness on her side. And
Tempt Me Not's a
Tempt Me
good
Not,
lead
as you can see,
200 metres mark. It's dash clear. Leads by
them.
3 lengths, full of running too.
Tycoon
Tara,
nicely,
Daisy
runs
Doom, and
time.
Ravi. But it's all Tempt Me Not.
Get a lot
Tempt
better
Me
than
Not
that,
low
so,
flew this morning,
that's a very
and
positive.
she wins by 3.
Pricked on the line to have done it easy. She's in the race. Zestful's obviously in the race. I should have pointed it out in that hieroglyphics run. If we go back and have a quick look here, she's the one that's out wide and working, which wasn't easy to do, even though you wanted to be outside fence in the straight. You didn't want to be working in the run if you could possibly avoid it. So she's tucked it on really well here after beating, Dixie Blossoms and Nancy Wood. Nancy's here again in a previous run. So she's obviously going well. Handles the ground well enough to be in the finish there, so there's no reason she won't handle the going again and again. Ryan Moore on Raymond's got very interesting form for mine. Dominant first up, beat some horses that have come out and won since. In her time, obviously got to the Coolmore and ran a nice 5th. Her form was first rate all the way through, so Raymond was a little bit unlucky there. Held up on the fence, came out next start and dominant over Sangiovese and these horses. It's obviously been 63 days since that effort.
Tries to beat off Sand, but just wants to lay in a bit. You see in Butterboom, and she's
But
starting to edge clear now. Raymond draws on
definitely on the up, and she's definitely right in this race. Think she's pretty aggressively priced at 5 to 2 early for a horse 63 days between runs. Not exactly sure what she's going to have to get. She's probably going to have to go forward and work. And I think there's others more attractively priced at this stage, but I would say that she definitely has a solid enough winning hope. And Samantha's the other one that you've got to entertain off that last run. She's won 3 over 4 runs in. The only time she's beaten is in that behind Global Glamour Fox Play, where she just got lost a bit, and then last start, after not looking like she really handled conditions too well, maybe just the fitness he does get through the going late. This form here is definitely strong enough. Glenore, Super Maxi, well ridden, got tired late, but that form's definitely good enough for this. Just a matter of, this is her 5th run in. She's had tough runs, or she's put up big performances, which really usually leads to tough runs, and now back out to 1,200, which she's not won at yet. I'm not thinking it's a big issue, but she's not won at it yet. So the main chances there for me, hieroglyphics definitely. I can entertain Zestful. Tempt Me Not possibly might get tired a little bit late. That's the only thing, and then Samantha and Raymond probably next picks after that, but definitely, Zestful is about $9.50 currently. Hieroglyphics $7.50. Tempt Me Not $10, and I could possibly, save on Samantha. Maybe I think she'll get out $5 is probably rock bottom odds with the Apprentice going back on and Andrew Adkins' first time, and Gate 8's probably going to give him a start. So I could probably even bet around her and wait for her to get out to $7 or $8 maybe to save on her, but $9.50, $7.50 $9.50 Zestful, well, $7.50 hieroglyphics, $9.50 Zestful, $10 Tempt Me are definitely worth having a look at. Race 3, already a few scratchings here with the likes of Glenore, Demolition, Raymond already out. The toppy's just hard to bet around for mine. I just think it's got a lot of quality on this field. I know it's got the 57, which is not too bad. It's only 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos over the minimum here, but what I just love about this horse is the way he finds the line every start. So this was a slow tempo. All the horses have obviously had their chance. Scarlet Rain's come out and failed since, which is a little bit of a knock on the form, but just the way he handles himself. Late, hands and heels, never touched, and just continues to build and find the line. This is his start before over 1,000 metres, went back in distance.
Spending to win from Starcross. Tactical
A
advantage.
little bit harder to usually pick up. You expect him to be strong.
Guard of Honour's a length and a half off them. He's
Again,
trying under top
some nice
weight.
horses
Spending to
in
win
this
in front.
race.
Tactical advantage. Surges up on the
Shifted there and
outside. Tactical advantage.
he's strong again on the line.
Just got there. Tactical advantage. Wore down, Spending
And
to win.
then his trial as a tune-up for this.
Leads the way from Venaloquio and
Obviously,
a
he's got a
four
bit of fitness on these, so you expect him to
Boaz
trial
is right
extremely
there
well
with it
against
with
this, and they didn't
skillful
go
and then a
fast
hard
here.
tester. Tactical
Not fast
advantage,
time
Just
overall. You
William
can see they're all
and
pretty
50
well.
Shades of Grey. It's Thorn in My Side, tackled by Venaloquio the last 100, and getting between them was Tactical Advantage. Tactical Advantage got home to score. Venaloquio second, Thorn in My Stride ran.
I think $2.70 is probably value for him at this stage. I can't see it definitely getting out too far. Going down the list, I think Darren's got some solid form in Melbourne. I'm not too excited by it really. I think he's a solid enough horse. He's probably going to need a little bit of luck from gate 10. He's probably going to get back and wide and come down the outside, which may be okay, but he's definitely likely to give them a start, and I'm not too excited by him. Cogliere I can't have. Crafty Cop was solid enough second up, going from 1,000 to 1,200, 3 weeks between runs. Last time he definitely got tired late after setting a pretty solid tempo. He's one I can entertain. He'll be up there and give him something to catch. I didn't think My Country trialled well enough first up to really scare them too bad. Generalissimo too bad to be true last time at Hawkesbury, but definitely want to see that he's back on track, especially heading onto a surface like this before entertaining him. I really liked the trial of this horse, Star of Monsoon, obviously a maiden, but he's one that can't be a maiden for too much longer. He trials without
Aviators right up, Prince Sanctuary. Augustus just Monsoon now taking those, and then Intuary straightens up with the advantage of the inside and leads by a length. The Reverend Demon second, Aviator out wide, it's the Grey, Octavian Augustus back near the inside, and Star of Monsoon under a strong hold coming down the outside. Inference and Earth held up behind those. The Reverend Demon with Octavian Augustus had got up to Intuary. Octavian Augustus and the Reverend Demon come to the line together. And Octavian Augustus just beat the Reverend Demon. Now Star of Monsoon, Intuary, Aviator, Inference behind those, and Earth wasn't far away.
Sports betting the back. Tab, so he's interesting for me. I can't really have the others. I thought Improvement, was a bit disappointing down in Melbourne. Wasn't herself, didn't parade herself, didn't have the speed that she normally shows there, and she was weak late. So a lot of things that were against her or not like her, I can't really chime back into her. I think she looked like she might have come to the end of her preparation there. Only my opinion, of course, and I'm wanting to bet around her here. So I'm keen on Tactical Advantage and think that Star of Monsoon's the possible improver, and the other one that I definitely want to make a winner in the race. So that's the thoughts on race 3. Race 4, Smallfield, plenty of queries here. Hartnell comes up at $1.90. All his form, you say yes, $1.90 is well and truly justified. Until last start when he was caught wide, but it was a slow tempo on a heavy surface, just knocked right up late. Whether it was the mile, whether it was the wet track, whether it was being exposed, I'm not sure. There's no excuses given, and it's very hard to sort of chime back into him. Whether maybe he was ridden a bit too close that day too might be the other thing. I'm not entirely sure if there were what their sort of justification was, but he's definitely better than these horses at his best. But similar conditions to last start here. Now rising to 2,000 metres, and you've got to dive into $1.90. So I'm not doing that personally, but the query on the other couple of runners I could back, say our Ivanhoe's first up over this trip, a few gear changes, gets that soft track that he longs for, but 2,000 metres first up on it's not an easy task. You are getting $15 to help you there to dive into him, but I couldn't do it in a big way. Thought Antonio Giuseppe's form run last start was big. He's chasing a 15 length odd fast tempo to the 600 and and then gets home okay, like takes control, and it's just the strong stayers that had the cold sit further back that got over the top of him late. He was only second up there, and now on the back up a week later, he's obviously come through it well. Waller's not going to throw him in here for practice, and $10, he's probably the one I'm interested in. I think he's the one still on the up and can be, good here. And Sophia Rosa first up, a little bit of a watch too, 25-1. The USA, United States, and Stratum Star were just fair for mine in Melbourne. I'm not too concerned about betting around them. Same with He's Our Rocky. So if I'm having a bet, I'm having a small bet on our Ivanhoe and Antonio Giuseppe. If there's any sniff of any money for Sophia Rosa, I could probably entertain her too at 25-1. And for the layers, I'd have to get something small out of Hartnell if I was having a go. I would be nervous though if the money came from him late, because it probably would show there was something last start that they found, and it's been fixed up here because he's definitely too good to go around like he did last start. So tricky little race, and not too keen to get too heavily involved. Race 5, George Ryder, Winks dominates, $1.24 early. Pretty much writes its own script this race. It's interesting for me that they're stepping Chautauqua up in trip here. I can't see it beating Winks, don't get me wrong, and I think that remains the pick of those two, especially drawing the inside gate again. Chautauqua, you're going to have to cut up inside or do something, I'm not sure, but he definitely got tired last start after having to sustain a run. There's been a lot of debate about the ride, and if we kind of watch here, to me he's either got to commit to come around the Darley horse here, or Tommy Berry's obviously made the decision to stick hard inside. I'm not sure why. When this was Haraki, he could have got on Haraki's back and sort of tracked a bit more. They had gone out quick enough for him to sort of respect that they were going to slow. It was a split-second decision. He decided to get up the inside. The horse has gone like a rocket. Picked up the leaders very quickly, who were stopping. The other main dangers have got to the best part of the track where he's being forced to card through the middle of it and sustain a run for 600, 700 metres on a heavy 10. So his run's pretty crazy. Le Romain definitely had the easier of the runs of the two, but not saying he had an easy run and not saying his effort wasn't great. So all things being equal, it's hard to see too much between those horses, because once again, that Le Romain's probably going to be more positively ridden and find a position, whereas the other horse is going to need luck and going to have to sustain a run from out the back. Either way, I don't think either of them are too much of a threat for Winks. I think Winks is too good again, and I'm keen to see Toes and Stardom go around. I think he's a bit of a smoky for the Doncaster, so I'm not too he's probably hard in the betting, but I want to see him go around from a Doncaster point of view. And Haraki's probably the other one that's interesting at the level weights, and can improve off that run there. So for the record, Winks, Le Romain, and then I'd play Haraki, Toes and Stardom in the placings, those three, and leave Chautauqua out if I had to, simply because he's going to need a bit of luck again, but definitely not saying he can't not run a place. That effort last start was too big not to. He's definitely back and in as good a form as I've seen for a long time. Rosehill Guineas up next. You've got a few different form lines here. New Zealand Derby winner last start second in the Australian Guineas for a prized icon, coming off a Derby win. I feel like that's a Vic Derby win in the springtime. Influence has come out and won the Randwick Guineas last start. Not sure of the depth of that form. They've sort of gone out even, come home even. He's got to the best part. He sustained a run. He's probably one of the better staying chances out of that race. Even Impovito, we'll have a quick look at it. Simply because it's good to draw a line through those two. So at the moment, Influence is out the back, and Impervito's in this
it's the lone filly of the
here.
field, Invincible
Sorry,
Gem
Impervito's directly in front of him. We kind of watch what happens here. Impervito gets a bit lost in Hanford, whereas Influence comes that little bit wider and gets to the outside. They're both taking quite a while to build into their run, and
Influence is making good ground. Invincible
you
Gem
can see that
coming to the
Impervito's completely held up, and then
closing off hard. Invincible Gem, she's got
game back up late. I can't see why there's so big a difference between Impervito and Influence, because I understand when you lose momentum, especially a horse like this that's not a sit sprinter, you're having to build it back up again. It's such a difficult thing at the end of a race on heavy going. It's nearly impossible. So for mine, I can't have any difference in the prices between Impervito and Influence. It's only maybe because Impervito's in his first preparation and Influence is not. That's the only reason I could probably give a slight preference to Influence, but other than that, nothing between those two for mine. Prized Icon's a genuine top class horse. He should be right there. The other horse that I am interested in, I love this horse Anaheim from his run at Benalla. And then the way he put away a good horse, I thought back here in Righteous Mate at the time, he's maybe not going quite as well at the moment, having a bit of a funny preparation, but this horse here, Anaheim, comes through the middle and puts a good set of horses away here. I'm sure there's plenty of winners to come out of this black type races in the future. And I just like the strength he shows here. And the second horse pretty much run away from the rest with the guys down the outside, not looking like getting them. And then Anaheim last week ran in the Australian Guineas behind Prized Icon. He's back last, the third last here on the inside. Obviously a track that was suiting inside and on pace. Anaheim's back in here looking for a bit of a split. He's another horse that builds through his gears, but he's getting 2,000 metres here on a soft track, so it's definitely going to suit him for mine. He's in restricted room there and climbing a bit, doesn't look too comfortable. Still sticks his head through this gap late, and he's as strong as Prize Icon late for mine, if not stronger. I really like the way he sort of gets through that gap late, so 2,000 metres for him, not a problem. And I've got a strong feeling he's going to run a big race here, third up out to the 2,000 metres. Ginger Nuts, the Derby winners, brings good form, 2,400 metres, fit, handles it wet. It's got to be given a really solid chance. And then, other than that, really struggling to find anything. I thought maybe Harper's Choice wasn't a bad effort last start with that gap between runs and stuck back on the inside, and was the only other real knockout horse that I could see, but he definitely needs to improve a touch, but he looks a bit quality when he is exposed. So recapping, I think $9.50 Impervito is a good price, solid price. I think $14 Anaheim's well and truly overs. $3.60 Inference is a bit too short for me, and then probably $7 Prized Icon Ginger Nuts, and even $18 Harper's Choice is about what they probably should be. So Impervito and Anaheim from a betting perspective, me in the Rosehill Guineas. Have been through the slipper, did a bit of a separate thing there, but I'll just sort of glance through it again. Hootson definitely the horse to beat. His two best performances, or her two best performances, when she crossed from outside gates in big races here. Last start she's done the same thing with a big weight against Open Company 2-year-olds and run fast times. So she's definitely right up there with the horses to beat in the race, because if it is a bit of a track that's hard to run on, she's proven that she can run 1,200 in a high pressure race from the front. Question marks a little bit over the form lines, but she runs time like compared to everything else on the day. Every time she goes around, it's hard to really knock her. 1,200 metres on a heavy track, trying to peak for the second time in a 2-year-old season is not easy. And I'm not too excited to chime into sort of $4, but I think she'll run well. Trapeze Artist and this form here is the strong form line for me. From a value perspective, I think the first and second horses were pretty dominant over the rest, and as in Trapeze Artist has sat up on the pace, put them away quickly, and Trekking was the one strongest late. I think Trekking can improve. $35 or something similar at the moment. $51 with Centrebet looks pretty attractive. $51 also for Trapeze Artist is really attractive. And then the other horse that I am interested in is Minari, going back and drawing a line through Pariah. He's just a quality horse for mine that's been underrated and hasn't been able to show his best. If he shows up in a fitter condition than last start and gets through the going, I think he's still $31 with Centrebet, and he's got a really solid chance for mine. I think I've pretty much marked him at close to equal favourite, which is probably aggressive, but that's kind of my opinion in this race. Sort of when I'm piecing it all together, that Pariah's gone to Melbourne, was unlucky twice. I think Minari's a superior horse with conditions to suit, both of them, say dry conditions with the same preparation. I'm definitely backing Minari. So for it to be $9 and Minari $31 is what I'm basing my pricing and looking for an advantage around. Catchy is definitely a horse on the up that finds the line every start. I'm just concerned where she's going to get to in the run. I think she might get a little bit too far back. Tulip kind of franked that form last week, but I think that was quite a weak lead up, and I'm betting around her. And then the She Will Reign Frolic form line to me is one that I'm definitely looking to really pot. I think Frolic has been heavily flat at its last two starts. It's got a nice little turn of foot. Don't know where it's going to get to here, and really is going to face a tough task. And I think She Will Reign really up against it 1,200 metres in a high pressure race on a heavy surface. I think that's not her go. If she wins, good luck to her and her connections. I'll be happily wrong, and I'll probably do my money, but that's fine. That's racing, and opinions are opinions. So betting around those two, Teaspoon is a bit of a knockout for mine. I think it's sort of $51 as well, and it's right there somewhere. And Chauffeur, if it gains a run at $71, a crazy price considering it ran Hootson to half a length only 2 starts ago. It's had a freshen up, wasn't exactly on its game last start, and can definitely continue improve significantly from that. And the difference, $480 to $71 seems a little bit crazy. So that's my roundup of the slipper in a quick way. Minari, Trapeze Artist, Trekking are the 3 I'll be playing. I was keen on throwing Single Bullet in there as well, but this little paddock accident's a problem. not many horses going to overcome these sort of little issues even late in a program to win a slipper. So the other horse I would throw into exotics is Diamond Tathagata at $81 as well. It's a similar sort of horse, untapped, tough, 1,200. It's already proven on the wet, and not much downside to it at the price it is at the moment. Race 8, the Galaxy. This is probably the toughest race for me for the day. A horse that I'm really wanting to find in Russian Revolution. Comes up favourite, $6 is probably fair enough. But there's a mile of speed. There's speed drawn across the park. There's horses that want to be on pace. There's horses fresh. There's horses coming from Melbourne. There's horses coming from Group 1 form lines. There's horses resuming. There's horses that are coming, like Glenall, that's probably a rating 65 or something similar. Gets in on the 50 kilos. It's a race with so many question marks. I can't find an angle that I want to attack that has price attached to it that's worthy of having a go. It's honestly $26 big money. Horse that's run the remainder an last start after sitting wide, even though it was a bit of a slow tempo. It's maybe a horse I could have something on at the 25 to 1, but there's so many horses I could back here with confidence in the right race, and they're all going well, and they all look well suited to this sort of handicap over the 1100. So I don't really even see a point in going through them. I think if you go sort of through from the top, Music Magnate can improve. that run the other day over a little bit further. Back in distance here, it'll probably have freshened him up a little bit. He gets through the going and can be suited. Bell Swoop galloped on itself last start. Apparently that it's all healed up and everything's fine. He's got the quality to be in the finish. English put in a really good performance first up, sprinting through on the tough, on the worst part of the track and maintaining that finish to the line to just hold on, but still a strong win. Talked about big money. Fart and Us run second to Shidell in a big race last start and put in a good effort. Rosehill got beaten a nose by English, so there's not much between them, even though it came to the better going. Heavily was dominant last start and fast time. Sapedo drops in weight off good form, but has been a little bit weak late in its races. Still, can't knock it, and it looks suited here with good pace. Russian Revolution resumes, obviously a very good horse, and Glenall, the sort of enigmatic type that has been backed already, and gets in with a very lightweight, which it should, with its record to date, but it is, fitter. 1100 metres, it's proven on wet ground, and he'll run a race. There's no doubt about that. Even though it is a tough effort, to go well here against this sort of company at this stage in his career. So the answer's a pineapple there for me. Race 9, the opponent stakes. Bit of value here I can find because I don't want to find El Lou. It comes up favourite. Van Dancer comes out of that similar race, and I thought its effort was probably better. Interesting to see that Van Dancer's also won over 2100 previously, whereas El Lou's never won past a mile. It's never really been tried past the mile, but still not an easy task. I thought it was well ridden last start, and I was not, too worried about betting against it here. I thought Allegria had a really good setup. Did get to the best part last start, but it was against a slow tempo. The race was not great, and I'm finding it a little bit difficult to sort of think Allegria superior to Van Dancer and El Lou, so I want to back it before those two. Happy Hannah's going to be second up, 1900. Not really known this stable for doing things like that. It's not their sort of go, so I'd be a little bit concerned there. It's going to give them a start too, so then Song and Laughter stepping back up to the 1900 from the mile off a monster effort. Should have won last start for mine, but does that a lot and it just doesn't win out of turn. Loves the soft going and will be on the pace. So in a race where it doesn't look like there's too much speed on paper, should be up there. I thought Sofin's run last start could be a complete forgive. I like that she is coming out of different form lines. Against should have finished much closer in the Gosford Group 3, and then last start against the boys should have finished much closer as well. Apparently had a few issues, floating and was uncharacteristically acting, up, which is against her pattern. And if you put a line through that run, I think $34 is a big price for her. So they're the kind of two. I'm not that entertaining too many down the bottom in this race. I think it's pretty thin, so I'm thinking Allegria's got a really solid chance. I'm entertaining Song and Laughter at the $10. There's no doubt about that, and I think $34 Sofin's quite a big price. Lucky Last, and the race deferred from Wednesday at Gosford, is the provincial championship qualifier. Really tough to see for me anything winning outside of Pomelo, which you have to have on top. It's a horse that's won over 1400 metres already. It's got beaten ahead over 1600 metres on a soft surface. It's come back, won over 1000, 1100 in dominant fashion, sat up on strong tempos and basically opened them up. Now goes to 1200, which is fine. Wet ground, obviously fine. We'll race somewhere near the pace and run really well. Machine Gun Jumpers has just had that little tiny setback with a foot abscess. 5 weeks between runs, 6 weeks between runs now is the query. 1200 metres is fine, soft ground's fine. We'll race on the pace and make her own luck, and she'll run well. It's just a matter of that last probably 100 metres for her. I think Lady Javago was an enormous run, and it's probably the run I do want to show from a value perspective.
Stand by for a break.
Was 26 days between runs here with a little bit of a trial. And if it was just what she's out the back here, number 9. Yeah, she's here in the blue cap, white sleeves. And from this point you'll see like she's travelling strongly, get to the turn here, and this is her in the middle. No real room to move, no real room to wind up, constantly checking off heels, still not being allowed to build her momentum in any way, shape or form. She basically goes to the line untested, beaten. However far there, 5 or 6 lengths. I like that she drops back to 1200 metres here off that run. And I think, you know, drawn wide, if that's suitable, I think 20 to 1 is a big price for her. Invincible George is just a good horse. He's also 90 days between runs, and that has to be a question mark on this ground. He's the other horse I'm interested in. What could be first up? Had a trial, 70 days between runs. Again, not easy to do, but I've got a lot of time for the horse, and it's, you know, a slightly built gelding, so he's probably, you know, a good chance to get through the going better than some of the others, especially fresh. So Pomelo with Machine Gun Job's the clear quality. I think Lady Zhivago's the clear value, and wouldn't be surprised if Invincible George and what could be run really powerful races first up from breaks. It's the day, and hopefully we have a bit of luck. Hopefully conditions are not too bad. I think they're predicting terrible more falling and rain in the next couple of days, and even on race day, which is a bit of a nightmare. So if they don't go ahead, wouldn't be surprised, but hopefully we do scrape around and we find a winner. So thanks guys, and good luck.